Well, good afternoon everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope you're all having a great week. I am back with a new little update. There is some new things to run through that will affect you if you're coming to Tenerife in the next few weeks. A few things have changed, but for the better. So a few new exciting little changes that does just show how much more back to normal we're getting. If you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. This is just a little news update from Tenerife. There is loads of different videos on the channel, excursions and things, so do check them out. And if you are coming back to the channel, welcome back. So we're going to start off where we always do with the current COVID figures. Again, the downward trend is continuing. We've got a few new cases. This is as of yesterday, Wednesday, the 8th of September. 123 new cases in the whole of the Canaries, 51 in Tenerife, 45 in Gran Canaria. They've crept up a little bit, but they still hopefully might drop a level. Fuerteventura 20, Lanzarote 4, La Gomera 3, and La Palma and El Hierro both on none, so they've sorted themselves out there. So the downward trend does continue, and the upward trend of vaccination still continues as well. 3,046,325 now vaccinated, or they had the first one administered. Fully vaccinated over 1.5 million now, which is absolutely brilliant. Just touching on another bit of news with the vaccination, they have called on the vulnerable for their third jab. So anyone who is vulnerable, has pre-existing illness and things, they can now go and get their third jab, their third vaccination, their booster. So absolutely brilliant with that. No real complaints with that at all. That downward trend does reflect, because we do have good news. This week we have dropped down from level 4 down to level 3. So a few good changes come with being in level 3 as well. I will run through exactly what they mean for you guys when you're coming over, what exactly is level 3 and the restrictions in that. So capacity is 75% outdoors and 40% indoors, so that's your bars and restaurants. Groups of people, the maximum number of people allowed to meet is 6 in a public or private area, so that has gone up a little bit to 6 people now. One of the key things, closing times for bars and restaurants is now 1 AM, so it's changed from 12 to 1. Bit more drinking time and fun time for you guys now in those bars and restaurants. Personally, I was enjoying it being 12 o'clock. I could get to bed a bit earlier, but 1 AM now, they do have to be closed by, so you do get a little bit more time. A maximum of 20 people can participate in a guided tour. In terms of nightlife, a lot of these nightclubs have been allowed to reopen now in level 3. They did alter some of the rules. Karaoke is back now as well, so you can do karaoke in these bars. The only thing is you do have to still wear a mask while you sing. Not sure what your opinion is of that, but the theory is obviously you are going to get spit particles all over the microphone, so they do ask you to wear a mask. I know some of these bars are using little protectors to go over the microphones as well, as a bit of extra protection. But yet we will get to hear some bad drunken singing again in the bars around, so it's going to be even more of a holiday vibe now. So yeah, you can do your karaoke. Bars are allowed to open in the same way with the restaurants as well, but it is table service, and dancing is still not allowed though, so don't think you can get up and dance and things. That is still not allowed. They are still enforcing the rules. There are going to be random inspections, and the police will be going by these nightclubs and checking what's going on, and it is big fines if they're caught not enforcing the rules. Shows with choirs, bands, orchestras in groups can continue with the use of masks. The sale or consumption of alcoholic beverages individually or in groups on public roads, parks, outdoor recreation areas is not allowed, so you can't go down to the beach with your bottles of wine and sit and drink and things. That is still not allowed. In terms of your sports, your gyms allowed to operate with 33% capacity and 50% in open spaces, so they're allowed to still continue on a little bit more. Campsites and overnight camps will remain closed, so your campsites and things are still closed. The main thing is you can do your bit of karaoke now, a little bit of an hour extra with your bars and restaurants, so a bit less pressure on you of an evening, which is good for the restaurants because they were very, very full. They've got an extra hour now to space things out a little bit more. So that is all very good news this week. I will going to go on and touch on a few other things that have gone on this week as well that might be of interest to you. Some of the headlines that grabbed my attention. So one of them was Ryanair predicts a fast rebound in Europe airline travel. So they do expect to have a very strong recovery, especially over the winter. They are saying that the prices are still going to be less than they were pre-pandemic. So still going to be cheap flights by the sounds of it. But they are expecting it to start building up now, especially over here over winter. Canary Islands, I do think the likes of Ryanair are going to be busy there. But hopefully still some very cheap prices on the flights by the sounds of it. And also the new cruise season starts in October with more stops than before COVID. So they are expecting to have more cruise ships stopping in the Canaries, a lot more than even before COVID. So that is more good news for the islands. There's quite a few different cruise companies here listed that will be stopping over the winter. Again, your winter sun. But it's great news for the island, more passengers. I'd love to build up a bit more with the cruise ships because they are great for the island. It is great revenue, and it's a great place to stop, Tenerife, for a day because it's not a huge island. You can get off, go and do your tour up Teide, a few different things. So I just wish the cruise stop was here in Los Cristianos. I know some of you will completely disagree with that, but I do think the odd cruise ship here stopping, even with tenders, would be amazing for the south. It might be a little bit too busy though. There's pros and cons. But yeah, I do think the odd cruise ship stopping here would be nice. At the moment they do all stop in Santa Cruz. So I'm going to touch just a little bit more on the reopening of the nightlife that can reopen in terms of those nightclubs. There is a new law that has been published that allows the reopening of nightlife venues to the public after a year of being closed. They have had a very tough time of it. It does take into account all of the current restrictions and what can happen. So I'm going to basically read just a few rules that they've published here for these nightclubs. 75% capacity outside, 25% indoors, so less than your restaurants. Maximum group of 6 with the same closing time of 1 AM. Separate to those, there is other general regulations that cover all levels, no matter what level you're in. These are particular rules for the nightclubs. So spacing of tables must be at least 2 meters. Only table service is permitted. Dance floors must be taped off or occupied with tables and chairs, so no dancing can be permitted. Masks must be worn at all times by staff, whether behind the bar or serving people, and by clients, except when they're sitting down. So if you do need to go to the toilet, you will have to put your mask on to go through, and they will be making sure that the staff keep their masks on as well. Smoking is not permitted on the premises, and you must, including terraces, so you must go out onto the street or wherever the nearest designated area is, so that you can't just sit on the terrace smoking away there. Venues must collect data of all clients so that the Ministry of Health can track any outbreaks. So when you go into some of these nightclubs, you should be leaving your name, your number, where you're staying, things like that, if you're vaccinated or not, because if they do have an outbreak, they should be able to contact you. I know there's a lot of arguments for and against that as well, but they are the rules that should be followed. In other general news, weather is absolutely amazing. Excursions are still extremely busy, even though the families have gone home. I'm still full with the cars a week in advance. Max I can do is like 2-3 days here and there. I know the boat trips and other tours are the same, booked up at least a week in advance. So if you are making plans, do them a little bit earlier. Allow yourself a bit more time as well. Say for example, if you're renting a car and you're going to drive to your excursion to catch your boat trip, allow an extra 10 or 15 minutes to find parking. Parking is busy. You might have to go on one of the undergrounds. Just allow a bit of extra time than you normally would, and pre-plan a little bit more than you normally would as well. If there's a particular restaurant you want to go to and you know what night you want to go to it, go in and make a reservation, because you never know. Some of them just seem to be full, some of them aren't. But in general, everything feels a lot more normal. As every day goes by, we seem to get more and more back to how it used to be. Especially now you've got all your karaoke going on and things, that's going to make it feel even more normal. I do know now a couple of people who have tested positive with COVID over here on that test before they fly home. So I know a few people are saying, oh, the tests are dubbed, you're always going to test negative. I don't know anyone who's tested positive. I do, and they have ended up having to quarantine in the hotel. One of the top tips from them is make sure you bring a credit card with you or a debit card, just in case you do have to go into hospital or an ambulance or something like this. Even if you've got insurance, a lot of the hospitals here, they do want payment up front off some form of card, and then you claim the money back from your insurance. They want the money up front. So I would recommend, if you don't have a credit card, go online and get one. You don't have to spend on it or use it, but you've got it just in case. If something did happen, you've got the credit card, they can charge that, and then you can make arrangements with your insurance company to claim the money back or pay off the credit card, etc. But I would recommend bringing particularly a credit card, if not your debit card, not just cash, just in case of that emergency. Because I know a few people, even if it's nothing to do with COVID, if you do have an accident and you've got to go to the hospital and you have got cover, you still a lot of the time need to pay them up front. They are very keen to get the money and make sure they get the money for your treatment. As you can imagine, they have a lot of trouble with people not being insured and not wanting to pay. So that is one of the tips for this week. If you are interested in what exactly the process is with coming over here with tests and things, they are mentioned. I did run through exactly what you need to do in the last two news updates on the channel. I'll leave the links to those in the description. You can have a watch of them and see exactly what you need to do if you're travelling from the UK in terms of tests and things. Mainly, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't need anything to enter other than your QR code, which you fill in online. Enjoy your time here. You'll need an antigen test to fly home with, which is about €36. Fill in your traveller locator form, and you also need to have a day 2 PCR test booked, which are about £45. And that is the basics of it. I won't go into too much depth because I've done it on the last couple and nothing has really changed with that. But that is going to be it for now. I hope you did enjoy that. Please do hit the subscribe button if you are new and you do want to comment on the channel or the future lives. You will have to be subscribed. We do various different lives from Tenerife as well, live streams of restaurants, foods, walks and things like that. Make sure you follow me on Instagram as well. I'll leave the link to that in the description and I'll put it up on the screen now as well. You can follow me on Instagram. I do little sneak peeks and stories throughout the day of wherever we're up to. And follow the Facebook page, join the Facebook group. Just search for the KnightStrider. You will see those couple of groups come up. You can ask questions in there and see how other people are getting on with Tenerife and different bits and bobs. It's just a very friendly group. Any trouble is instantly banned, so it's a nice friendly group, that one, if you do enjoy Tenerife and the channel and things like that. There's lots of friends in there. But that is going to be it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Stride on. It is extremely hot. I've got a couple of boat trips behind me. Fred Olsen just coming in, and the Muscat is just over there, people having a swim. I wouldn't mind jumping in myself actually. It is absolutely boiling. There's someone having a nice little snorkel there as well. It's a nice section this for a little snorkel actually, just on the end of Los Cristianos. But that is it. Thank you very much guys. I'm going to go and cool off now. Stride on.